G'day and welcome to a new video. Going to be doing a bit of damage to the front lawn today. Some much needed damage to this front lawn, renovation in 2 weeks. But first, something I have been excited for a while. So good to have all of that in there sitting in the pots. I'm going to order my mulch and I'm probably going to put this in a few days time, maybe over the weekend. Just for now though, I wanted to get the plants this morning, lay them out where I think they're going to go. There's a few more things that I want to buy now that I've laid it all out. So yeah, I think hopefully, spacing's good and all that sort of stuff, and in a good position with nice sun coming across into this garden bed most of the day. So got a bit of a mixture of natives and other things here. Yeah, how good is that backdrop going to be when I'm setting the camera up over there, striping these sections of lawn? We've got this beautiful, colourful garden bed to look at. Stoked about that. Now I need to take a piece of advice I was given. Now, no doubt when I tell people, when people see videos about scalping their lawn, they get a bit nervous. This Polygala grandiflora here is massive and just looking, I don't know, it just looks like it needs a bit of work. So I'm going to give it a bit of work. I'm reliably informed that if I give it a really hard trim, it'll come back really nicely. There's a few bees in here, so I'm sorry bees, but I'm gonna make this better for you to come back and enjoy. From what I understand, I could take this a lot harder, but that's okay. That hedge trimmer, only the second time I've been able to use it. My Greenworks stuff that I was given, I haven't been able to use it much. And things haven't been growing, but that was a beast. Let's do some lawn stuff now. Jeez, it is so bloody good to be outside in shorts and a t-shirt with sunscreen on. Amazing. But anyway, this lawn. So when we first moved in, almost a year ago, it was a very thin and wispy sort of lawn, heaps of weeds. So it's come a long way. The program has definitely worked on this front lawn. As you see it today, nice and green, full coverage. So I worked really, really hard on it last summer, but by the time I got to February, March, I was like, look, I can see that I'm not going to have a fully covered and filled in kikuyu lawn for the winter, and I was going to struggle. I was going to go yellow easier because of those thin areas. So I did an overseed. Now I used a kikuyu blend, which is about 90% ryegrass, and it's something to be aware of if you use a blend, a cooch blend, a kikuyu blend. Anywhere you are in the world, have a look at it, what sort of seed you're using and what is in the blend, because a kikuyu blend has about 90% rye. The rye germinates quickly and it helps protect the kikuyu seed. So generally you're looking at about 10% kikuyu, and the idea is that the kikuyu will take over time and become the dominant type of lawn. So I was somewhat interested in the kikuyu content, but I mostly wanted a rye or a mostly rye lawn for the winter. So I scalped it, scarified it and seeded. And look, I think it's worked out pretty well. And at this stage, spring is definitely here. We've got some beautiful weather for September, some amazing September weather, up in the mid to high 20s throughout the next week consistently, which is fantastic. So I can see some really nice kikuyu in here, but I can see this other thinner leafed rye. Now, the rye, and this is for some people as well who might have done this project with me from Instagram or TikTok, that are still watching now. This rye, especially on the hot, dry summer to come, is probably going to die by itself. And more as the warm weather comes, the kikuyu, the warm season grass, will take over. I, though, kind of want to skip that step of, letting it die out and everything. So, and I've already owned the herbicide. So what I'm going to do today is spray out the rye, because I've not only got this perennial ryegrass that I grew, but I've also got some other weeds and some other annual rye and other grassy, annoying weeds in here that I want to spray out. So today I'm going to apply some Lonhro. So this here is the product that I'll be applying. It's called Lonhro. It does cost $200. So it is not a cheap herbicide at all. It doesn't come with a scooper, but I contacted Nadeem at Colin Campbell's Chemicals because he's talked about on a podcast with Luke Smith, the Australian Lawn Guard podcast, that you can email him and get a scooper. So that's handy. But this is 100 grams. Today I need 1.5 grams to kill ryegrass per 100 square meters. So I'll be putting in there just under 3 scoopers worth. So yeah, 100 grams, $200. It's essentially kind of $2 per 100 square meters, $3 today. Some other applications is a little bit lighter of a rate. So yeah, I mean, $3 per 100 square meters to get rid of my rye. I'm not too fussed with that, but clearly an initial outlay that's pretty high with that product. So some key things from the label is that you need to mix it with 2 to 5 litres of water per 100 square metres. So again, this is something that works out perfectly with my calibration of 9 litres for the front lawn of 180 square metres. So this will kill some other stuff like my clover and stuff on the front lawn. Not all of my broadleaf weeds, but it will actually kill a few out there as well, which is great. And a key thing with this application to know is that you are avoiding rain afterwards or irrigation because we want this to stick on the leaf of the weed. And that's something as well that's important with spraying weeds. Avoid mowing, it says in here, for 3 or 4 days before and after. That's because after you mow, you want those weeds to grow up high to be able to stand up tall for you to knock them down. And then you don't want to mow the next day or straight after because the weed is still absorbing that herbicide and starting to wilt and die. So you don't want to just go out and mow it and get rid of that good work, I guess. We really want to get the best kill possible with a herbicide to avoid having to use them all the time. Something else I'm using today is a surfactant, which is going to help it stick to the leaf. I always forget that I have this. I bought this when I bought the Lawn Tips Plant Doctor mix years ago. Ben hasn't been working with Plant Doctor for a while, but anyway, I still own this product, so I really should use it more as a surfactant. So I need 3 to 7 mils per 100 meters squared. Let that sprayer sit there for a bit, just for those granules to break down and mix in. Give it a good little shake just to spread it around in there and agitate the sprayer. Make sure you're getting a nice even liquid that comes out. Definitely feel like I have been doing a lot of spraying out here recently and on this channel. But yeah, especially coming out of winter where my fertilizer strategy was a half rate every 3 weeks, which definitely worked well, but just means spraying a lot more frequently. Same amount of product, but more frequently. This springtime, especially preparing for this renovation where I need to kill this rye, and I didn't use a pre-emergent, so I've got plenty of weeds out here. It's a high input time, but yeah, I think for a lot of people, and especially when I'm making my lawn programs, there's a lot to do in September, October, but I think that's fine. People are excited to get back outside into their yards, into their lawns, and so yeah, it is a higher input time for sure. Now, as I go and spray this lawn here in 2 directions, what I will say is that this rye project was absolutely 100% worth it. My reasoning was because I knew that the lawn was going to struggle through winter, so I wanted that ryegrass. I knew I was going to have to spray it out if I wanted to do it properly when it got to spring, but in all honesty, it gave me a really nice, enjoyable space to work with out here. For someone who loves this hobby, definitely 100% recommend it. Doing a rye overseed is a very, very good project for the winter time. I think the blend of my warm season grass with my cool season grass, the look of it, I haven't had any problems with. I've definitely got heaps and heaps of weeds out here because I didn't use a pre-emergent, and again, now is the time to get out your pre-emergent for spring and summer. I sprayed Spartan in my last video, but you need to keep in mind that Spartan will inhibit seed growth. So if you want to do any seeding projects or even sprigging and other things like that, or if you've laid new turf, don't use pre-emergent on it. So anyway, that's just something you have to live with, is the extra weed pressure throughout your lawn if you're doing that. And so as time's gone on throughout winter, there has been a lot more weed pressure, but it's the trade-off and something that I've been happy to deal with for the nice, beautiful ryegrass that's come through for me. All right, right, so we're all done out the front. My rye is going to be gone out of there, and out the back I've actually got a few grassy weeds that I'm keen to get rid of as well. So this stuff here is blatantly obvious, a little bit of annual rye, and that is just growing up super tall alongside that garden edging. Over here, got a little bit of onion weed. See that little bulb on the end there? So I need to get rid of that. Some other stuff here, which I'm sure you can see growing up nice and tall above the rest of the kikuyu. There's a little patch here which is just slightly discolored compared to the rest, and that again is just some sort of, doesn't have the purple roots. And some of this grassy stuff, it can be hard to identify at times, but it's definitely got that shallow little rye-like root system. But anyway, throughout, there's a big patch here. There's a couple little patches throughout, and gradually as winter went on, there was just more and more of those. So those have got to go. So I'm going to get Lonhro out here now. You don't need to see me do that because you've seen me out here on this back lawn a few times now. But anyway, I'll measure that out. 500 square meters, so I need 7.5 grams of Lonhro. So that'll be good. I'll get that out. Next week, I am actually going to be doing a scarify on this lawn. The renovation is going to be around about the start of November because of hosting an event here, going away as a family. So it's going to get pushed out a little bit. So I just want to give it a bit of a thin out now. In a week's time, about 3 weeks before we host that event, just to freshen it up a little bit, get rid of a little bit of thatch, tidy it up, you know, bit of a freshen up. And so that'll be nice to do that for sure. The beautiful temperatures, I've sort of been planning to do this for a while. So to have these beautiful temperatures we've got at the moment makes it all the more encouraging. And yeah, I'm gonna get that sprayed and I'm gonna see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.